Hello Year 10s, today is the big day and you are creating your first response to the role play. So I wanted to make this video to just clarify as clearly as I can what's required. You can see there the learning intention, the big picture goal is to present an argument in video format that is both persuasive and that reflects a perspective, the perspective of your alliance and your specific delegation that you are taking on. So I've got the first thing here, the goal. What's the goal of today? Well, by the end of the day, your group needs to submit a video that goes for approximately 2 or 3 minutes. So if you're in a team of 3 and it has to be 3 minutes, your individual responsibility is just to create a 1-minute video. I've said in the next paragraph here, in each video, each member of the group needs to present a persuasive argument that reflects the perspective you have adopted for the role play. That means each individual needs to contribute about 30 to 60 seconds to the video. Now I need to stress that point. You need to do your bit. You can't say, oh, my partners are going to do this one and I'm going to sit back and not be part of it. Every person needs to get on camera and present. And it's 30 to 60 seconds, so it's not a huge amount. You basically need to make one point, and I'll get to that in a different video. But 30 to 60 seconds in today's Horizons time isn't that much, really. In addition to that, everyone needs to contribute to the video, but one person does need to take responsibility for editing it together and submitting the complete video. So for one person, there is going to be an extra job there, and I'm hoping each group will have one volunteer who says, yeah, I can edit this together in 20, 30 minutes, an hour if I'm being, adding special effects, I don't know. And then that one person will submit it on the whole group's behalf, and there's more details written on the Schoology page here, so make sure you read through this whole page in detail to get the idea of what you need to do. Now, something that's come up a few times, and I just want to really emphasize this point and make sure everyone's got it. In the video, you are only responding to the first question. The question from Rio, I think it was 1992. Does the international community agree that a treaty dealing with global climate change is required? You've got your notes, you've got your feedback from Doc Connolly. That's the only question we are answering today in the video. The other 2 questions will be answered in 2 future summits, just like they were in the real UN. It spread over several years as they debated out these different questions. We have divided up and separated the different questions into different lessons. And we'll give you more details about question 2 and question 3 and how we're doing that live via Zoom in future lessons. Today, you're just answering the first question as a video. I've made it very clear here for the video and your responses in 2 other live debates, you'll be assessed on the criteria that can be found on Sector. Now, I do need to say, I'm going to show you these criteria. They might be updated. I've written it from an English perspective. Dr. Connolly will definitely add some more stuff from a geography perspective. But I really wanted to give you a bit of information today. So I've prepared that. I'm just going to zoom in to make it a little bit easier to see on your screens. I think that's a bit better. So there's sort of 2 halves of what I'm looking for. There's the content of your argument, which is the second one. And then there's how you present your argument. So let's focus on that first one, which is, a lot of fun, I think. So the first thing is, I'm looking for your vocal performance. You are taking on a particular role, and you are meant to reflect that role in the way you speak, and you are meant to speak persuasively. It needs to be appropriate for the delegation you're representing and for the audience, the UN, while adding a little bit of fun on top of that. So I want to see, in terms of your vocal performance, that you have used your voice highly effectively, that you have deliberately controlled the volume, pitch, tone, and pace for maximum impact. You have thought about who am I speaking to, and how do I convince them? That's the first thing. The second thing is very broad. I've said conventions of the medium. Now, the medium is the method you're using to communicate. So for this first one, it's video. Later it will be live Zoom chat. Other times the medium would be live performance on stage, in the classroom in front of people if we weren't in lockdown. Whatever the medium though, I want to see that you have recognized what that allows you to do and what's expected of you when you're in that format. So for the excelling level here, I want to see that you have thoughtfully approached all aspects of the presentation. You've used elements such as eye contact. This is important. If you're speaking to people, you need to look at them. If it's through video, maybe that means looking straight into the camera like I'm doing to you right now. It creates that sense of eye contact. You need to use body language. You can see I was eye contact. I was just naturally doing that. You've got to think about how you move your body. Are you going to slouch back like this? Are you going to be really close to the camera? Are you going to sit up straight? Are you going to use your hands a lot? Are you going to tilt your head? Are you going to use different facial expressions? You have to be thoughtful and deliberate. There has to be a reason for what you're doing so that you're communicating and persuading as effectively as you can. And then beyond that, we've got, I guess, the more sort of creative elements. You've got costume, backgrounds. You've got the ability to incorporate multimedia, to put things on the screen in front of you, all of those sort of things to help you communicate your ideas as effectively as possible. So be creative, be deliberate as you try to persuade the other members of the UN to agree with you on what you're arguing. So that's the presentation side. Then the other side is about the content of your argument. And this is where Dr. Connolly will add some more detail as well. But just as a starting point, we're looking for that you're actually being persuasive. Have you thoughtfully chosen and skillfully applied a range of different persuasive techniques through your video and the 2 Zoom sessions? Thoughtfully selected. Some techniques work better than others in specific situations. And depending on who your role is, if you're, AOSIS compared to the IPCC, compared to Just Cans, will very much change the types of techniques that you should be using. So think about what part of the argument you're presenting, so therefore which building block of an argument you're going to be using, and think about, is it appropriate for your group to be using fear tactics? Is it appropriate for your group to be trying to blame other people? What's the technique that's appropriate, or techniques that are appropriate for who you are as you present to the UN, the role you're taking on as you present to the UN? And the last one is the actual content of the argument. And as I'm talking through and making this video, I'm thinking, I probably should have put some more in, but I'll add it verbally and might update the actual criteria. So first of all, are you drawing on a broad range of detailed real-world evidence to support your argument? You've been learning a lot in geography about this topic. We want to see that you're bringing that in. But not only that, and this is where I'm sort of adding a little bit, you've been learning about your alliance and the delegation that you're representing. What are their values? What's their perspective on this issue? And how do we see that come through in your argument? If your alliance is fighting for survival, we should see that in the choice of techniques you used, in the content of your argument, as well as in the way you speak. If your group is very comfortable and very resilient against the effects of climate change, then obviously you'll be the content of your argument will change to reflect that perspective and the values of that group. So keep that in mind. Okay. Hopefully that gives you a clear sense of what's required from you today to produce your video or produce your argument, I guess more specifically. And I'm going to make another video where I talk through the actual technical process and a bit more about the creative process of creating your video. I can't wait to see what you guys come up with though, and to hear you present your arguments as you present to the UN.